All right, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Revan Trading Channel. Hope you all are staying safe out there. As always, it is cold here in Nashville, Tennessee. We just saw our first snow of the year. Now, it didn't stick. It's Nashville doesn't get cold enough for it to stick for quite a while, but it is getting colder, and the markets are also getting a bit colder over the last couple days here. Really, the last day. On the 2 hour time frame, we did see our Revan Ribbons suite on the 2 hour time frame get a nice 6 almost 7% gain or win there on this trade. If you are part of the Revan Ribbon suite, you have access to these indicators and to the strategy. It is in our Discord. If you do not and want to get access to them, feel free to check out the link in the description below. We're doing a massive sale, the lowest that the Revan Ribbon suite will ever be priced, because as they grow, the price will slowly go up, and the users that have access to them already will get all the new indicators for free because they already have bought it. So anyway, everything's on sale. I just discounted the whole website on the Patreon, so you can check it out again in the link in the description below. All right, enough shilling. Let's get on with our day. So we saw a 7% win. Then we saw across the downside, we've seen about a 5% move to the downside since then. And we are seeing a bit of extremes get hit here on our 2 hour time frame. Now, this is, again, don't confuse 2 hour with higher term time frames. This is only 2 hour time frame. So we might see momentum cross to the upside. I do expect it to cross to the upside in the next few bars. It might take another 2 to 3 to 5 or 6 bars even for it to turn to the upside. But we do see momentum on our 5-day and above time frame heavily cross to the downside. So when that happens, I do expect downside moves to last longer and be a bit more extreme than the average. So we are seeing this, and not to say you can't see, especially on lower term time frames, see some nice gains and profits, even when momentum is to the downside on other time frames. But we are seeing pretty heavy moves to the downside. Again, at 5% move, but this strategy stayed safe, stayed out of it, and you can see all the statistics there in the window. I won't get into too much more. Speaking of the Revan Ribbon suite and 2 new indicators that eventually will be added, we do have our daily strategy with the MBO and HBED. I have decided I think I will eventually add these to the Revan Ribbon suite, but you can also get access to them right now until December 7th. You can get lifetime access to them if you just have the gold or above tier for the bumper bands, if you have the Revan Ribbon suite, or if you have the lifetime access to the bumper bands. I won't add these for quite a while, so for those who have them, they'll be pretty exclusive for quite a while, and then eventually I'll add them to the Revan Ribbon suite as I build out some more parts to them and strategies and all that stuff. But again, if you want early access to them, message me if you have not already gotten access to them. And on our daily time frame, we've seen a nice little win here to the upside. Again, this is a long strategy. We'll look at a short strategy later on. If we look at our strategy tester, this one just goes up and to the right over time. Now, the last time we saw a huge, massive win was way back in 2020. We saw like a 400% gain. So you can see the strategy is a bit outsized, like the total P&L. And this is only since 2016, so that's nuts. If you go back further, that would be even wilder. But we do see some really massive gains here and there. I don't expect to ever see a 450% win, in one win. Again, those were different times. However, if you even do just back test for the last year or two, this strategy is very largely profitable and keeps your drawdown fairly low. So it's a great strategy, again, built with these 2 indicators and the RMO, and I also have a version without the RMO. So all of that is available on our Discord, and that was a nice little win there. Okay, moving on, we're gonna actually look at kind of just analysis of the market. On our daily time frame, things are looking a little bit scary, I would say. So the last time we saw price cross below, and the wild thing was I think I made a video about this, but it never really closed. What would you call it? Convincingly above the midline. I think when I was making the last video, it was above the midline, but it didn't actually close above the midline. And then it opened above the midline, but closed below it. And then we saw our move, down to, didn't quite hit. I expected it probably to hit the target here, closer at 81K. But just a 1-bar move. So that was a decent call. If you were paying really close attention, you saw it close below that midline. That could have been a nice scalp play on the 1-day time frame. But we're kind of waffling back and forth here a bit. So then we crossed above the midline and saw kind of the same move to the opposite side, where we didn't see it quite hit resistance, which would be the expected resistance one would be the expected move once you close above the midline there. So it had a bit of a fake out. Now, it will be a fake out if we close today below 90K, because that will be a close below the midline. And then I will really be looking again back down to the support one band, which is around 83K. Over the next few days, it might raise up to 84K area, 84.5. But yes, and then we will probably also see momentum on the momentum oscillator cross to the downside. If it closes today below 88K, not sure that it's going to do that today. Might kind of hang here. We'll see. If it reclaims, that will be good news. But even if it reclaims, momentum is going to be hard to keep across to the upside for too much longer. Our duration is -4 bars. We have seen a nice move to the upside already, especially since these two flags were plotted here. Once you see a double flag plotted, it's a nice bottoming signal. So yeah, on the daily time frame, things are a bit up in the air, but looking a little bit like it wants to correct a bit more. Again, maybe down to 83. I say 83 to 85K area over the next few days. And then maybe we see it kind of go sideways and cross to the upside. Who knows? Right now on the daily time frame, nothing is super convincing to me. So that's actually more of a signal to, if I'm being safe, stay out of the market. And if I'm being a little bit more risk accepting, maybe take a few, scalp plays off of that. Okay, on our 5-day time frame, nothing new here. Still cross to the downside, but price is bottoming out a bit here. So that is maybe a bit of good news to, if we can kind of hold price, and I do really expect it to hold price for quite a few more periods here on the 5-day time frame through December. Basically, if we can hold here or higher, then we will eventually see the momentum oscillator cross to the upside, but that will take quite a lot longer. On our 10-day time frame, nothing too new here, besides it's having a problem breaking above the dotted support band, which is something I'm seeing here on the 10-day time frame. And yeah, when you see the support start to become resistance, that's definitely not a good sign. So we need to have a 10-day time frame close above 93.5K for me to start getting a little bit more bullish here. Again, maybe by end of December we'll see momentum cross the upside, and you can see kind of my rough drawing here, just kind of looking at past iterations of what has happened when price has gotten around these areas. It's usually a slow bottoming area, bit of a bounce, and then whether we could see one of two things. We can see rejection here, or we could possibly see a breakthrough here. And if we do see a breakthrough here, I would expect to move up to the 30 to 130 to 150K area, and then maybe that's where we see our bull market top. So we'll see once we get into this area up here where Bitcoin has bounced a decent bit, then we'll kind of be following up on this and see if we're starting to see rejections or breakthroughs of these areas. All right, on the monthly time frame, not a whole lot new, but again, we are seeing these supports start to become resistance. So again, if you're kind of thinking about scalp plays, yeah, once you close below a level, it's generally a scalp play above that level until it closes above that level. So wicks above, you could try to play those as scalp. Now you have to find your own risk management. But we did close below the support one band on the monthly time frame, and we are seeing that form as resistance on the monthly time frame. So if Bitcoin on the monthly time frame by the end of December can close above 90K, that will be a good I guess good news for at least a bounce up to the midline at 102K area. However, as everybody that's been following the channel knows, our monthly time frame is heavily crossed to the downside and has an average of 5 bars left in the move. So that's going to be out till April. If you're thinking about an average move, I would say between March and June would be where we expect this to possibly get a bounce. Who knows? We have to take it one month at a time, one day at a time. All right, before we wrap up the video, I want to jump into some strategies. Let's look at the 1 hour using the 1 hour AI Max Plus indicator. This has been recently made available for all Bumper Band Gold tier and above users. and lifetime members, of course. This strategy has beat buy and hold Bitcoin for the past 6 years almost, which is pretty impressive at no leverage. So again, this is the account simulation it's running is a 10K account at no leverage. And we have seen some pretty big drawdowns. The thing I wanted to look at is just for users to really be aware of what drawdown actually means. And I think I bring this up a lot, but I just want to reiterate it again. And TradingView did make it a little bit easier to look at drawdown. However, it's still a little bit misleading. Let me show you what I mean by this. Okay, so in the last year, sorry, not even last year. Let's look at, you can now highlight different trading periods down here. I think it tries to generally, I don't know exactly what it bases this on, but it generally tries to catch, I guess, trend changes in the strategy. So we're seeing from August 13th to November 21st was, you can see this back here, August 13th was the peak. So if you would have started trading this strategy here at the absolute worst time of this strategy's recent history, that would be August 13th was the peak. And the low here was about on November 21st. So that, it says the drawdown percent, you can see right down in the bottom right corner, it says 4.4%. However, this is largely inaccurate and misleading because that is expecting that you've been trading this strategy since day one of the inception, and your count is up, however many 100%, 200%. And then I don't know. I guess I could probably do the math to figure out, why it's saying it's a 4% drawdown. It's probably based on the account size at the time that drawdown started, based on 10K of risk, I assume is what it's doing. However, the way that users should look at it is if you started trading the strategy at the absolute worst time, because let's be real, there's a lot of users I see join at the peak of the markets. So you want to know your absolute biggest risk in the recent history. That would be a $1,700 move down or drawdown in your 10K account. So that's 17% of drawdown in your 10K account, not 4%. So I think it's kind of bullshit that TradingView puts a number like 4.4% drawdown. What I want to see is the actual drawdown of my 10K. But all that to say, if you are using the SKX, it's a great tool. You can see all of this information now. TradingView has made it at least visually accessible, and just look at the dollar amount, and then do the math based on your trade size account, your trade size. I think that's everything I wanted to look at on this. Like, I was just using it as an example. We can look at a couple 1-hour strategies here. So this is one that recently has had a couple little wins. That's one hour strategy. This is a 1-hour strategy that's based on the quantum wave band idea, very similar to that. This one you do have to have access to the skeleton key, but you can trade something very similar to the quantum wave bands, which I partnered with Crown and Agent Smith on releasing. But yeah, this one has also seen a bit of drawdown, but a really nice win here recently, which is this win is massive. What was that? 7.6% win, 7.5% win. The drawdown in this one since peak to lowest is only 14%. Now I say only 14% because Bitcoin has been down and has a drawdown from all-time highs of like 35% or something, from its 130, almost like 128K high to its 80K low. So it's a decent, comparatively it's decent, especially at zero leverage. At 3x leverage, that would be a 45% drawdown in an account, which is not fun. I am trading a few accounts at 3 leverage and have seen that drawdown. So it's definitely not fun, but if you are consistently being careful with how you trade strategies and able to trade them for the long term, you are able generally to build a nice cushion in accounts. So I've been trading lots of my accounts for years plus and have a bit of a cushion in them. Okay, speaking of the MBO and the HBED, this is a short strategy that's built on just those two indicators, largely profitable. Now this is at trading at 3x leverage, or not even trading, but just simulated at 3x leverage. We did see a nice win here from November 30th to December 1st. It caught that move to the downside. It didn't catch this last current move to the downside. Okay, I'm going to leave it off here for today. Thanks for sticking with me, especially as my brain has been foggy as all get out. I think it's the changing weather. It's wild. But okay, I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Thanks for tuning in and stay safe. See y'all next time.